church really has done a number on you, hasn't it? They're so clever. They're so clever to take all this nonsense and convince you that the stuff that benefits them is still necessary, and everything else we can just forget about. We're not killing goats anymore. Hey, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read Bible so that you don't have to. And today we're in Leviticus still, at chapter 27. We're powering through, guys. We're trying to get through Leviticus. It is a little bit dry, but it is also interesting to see just how bad these laws can be that are attributed to Yahweh. What's absolutely crazy about it is people do want to believe that this is a real God, that wasn't just people with bad ideas. This was a God with the best ideas. Think about that. This isn't just a book of humans writing their best ideas, which are bad ideas, okay? Because they're fallible, they're awful, they're of a particular time, they're influenced by all the barbarism going on around them. No, but this is the best ideas for whatever the circumstances, okay? And you can do your little apologetic nuance where you're like, yes, but those people were flawed, so blah, blah. But this is the best idea for those flawed people. This is the best thing that Yahweh could have come up with, because he's perfect, right? He's perfect, he's ultimate, he's timeless, he's all those things. So this is the best stuff that he could have possibly come up with. And it's slavery? Huh? And it's just a bunch of threats? This is the best thing he can come up with is a lot of just vitriol, and then a bunch of really stupid, useless laws, some decent laws, some practical things, a lot of just killing of animals for no particular reason. No, it's a metaphor. We need it for when Jesus goes, shut up. Just a lot of nonsense that seems so obviously human. But no, these are the best ideas of the one true creator God who's timeless, immutable, and all those wonderful things. If you believe that, you haven't read this. Honestly, you can't have read this. We're here at chapter 27, and we're going to start reading as soon as you subscribe, like the video, and comment on it. Thank you. That was quick. Very quick. All right, Leviticus chapter 27. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when a man consecrates a person to Yahweh in a vow, according to your valuation of a male from 20 years old to 60 years old shall be 50 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary." So what is this? A man consecrates a person to Yahweh in a vow. So how can a man consecrate a person? Is this like a slave that he owns, or maybe a child that he's had? I mean, obviously the person must belong to the man. Interesting, before we get too deep in the weeds here, the man consecrates a person. Men are the only people who can consecrate people. Whenever you want to hear people say that, oh, God doesn't hate women, or the Bible isn't misogynistic, or any of these things, you don't even have to look at the stuff that's going to be smashing you in the face with misogyny. All right, that's in there. Most of the women aren't named. Most of them are baby makers. Most of them are just the mothers of sons. That's all that matters. And then a very few of them have a little bit of story, and barely any of them have any sort of agency, right? But here we have just a little bit less of an on-the-nose thing where it's just men. Men own other people, and they can consecrate them. I don't know what that means, but just notice that women can't do that. If she is a female, then your valuation shall be 30 shekels. Okay, so a female of the same age is 30 shekels. It's almost half the amount of shekels. So coincidentally, I was talking about misogyny in the Bible. This is a little more on the nose. So the first part was just that subtle, hey, women don't have any agency, or they don't have a life. Like they're not real full people the way that men are. And now we are actually seeing that loud and clear here. They're worth less. They're not worthless, but they're worth less. If the person is from 5 years old to 20 years old, then your valuation shall be for a male 20 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels, half price. I still don't know exactly what they're doing with these people. If these people are people that they would be sacrificing to Yahweh or something like that, but you can buy them back or something. I just don't know what this means. But the fact that a woman is worth half of a man, God hates women. God thinks women are less. God looks at women as less. Let's say it that way. I don't want to be too aggressive with the language. God looks at women as less than men. If the person is from a month old to 5 years old, little baby, then your valuation shall be for a male 5 shekels of silver, and for a female your valuation shall be 3 shekels of silver. That matches the older person a little bit better. If the person is from 60 years and upward, the elderly, if he is a male, then your valuation shall be 15 shekels, and for a female, 10 shekels. Bit of a less of a difference there. If he is poorer than your valuation, then he shall be set before the priest, and the priest shall assign a value to him. The priest shall assign a value according to his ability to pay. The only question here, because we know that what it's telling us is women are worth a lot less than men. We already kind of saw this in Exodus when we were talking about the value of male slaves versus female slaves. When I think they're gored by a bull or something like that, we saw very similar numbers. So we already know this. This shouldn't surprise anyone. It's just constant sort of like, women are worth less. Like, we don't care. Like, women are just not as valuable as men. Even when Jacob was bringing a bunch of animals for Esau, to placate him or whatever, he brought more male animals, less female animals, because the male animals are going to be worth more. They have more value. So he wants to give him more of the good stuff. The penises, they like that. God likes a good penis, and balls. He's more impressed with balls, as we've learned a few chapters ago. Vaginas, not into them. He doesn't like it. Why make them? Anyway, he wasn't thinking ahead. But yeah, I don't know what the consecration part is. Maybe it'll explain it, maybe not. But the important part is that women aren't worth as much as men. If it is an animal of which men offer an offering to Yahweh, all that a man gives of such to Yahweh becomes holy. We still don't know what holy means, by the way. He shall not alter it or exchange it, a good for a bad, or a bad for a good. If he shall at all exchange animal for animal, then both it and that for which it is exchanged shall be holy. If it is any unclean animal of which they do not offer as an offering to Yahweh, then he shall set the animal before the priest, and the priest shall evaluate it, whether it is good or bad. As the priest evaluates it, so it shall be. But if he will indeed redeem it, then he shall add the 5th part of it to its valuation. So I feel like this is like stuff that they're offering to Yahweh, giving to Yahweh as a consecration. It's like probably payment for their sin or something like this. And there's some way to maybe buy back the people. Maybe that's what was going on in the previous passage. And each person is worth a different amount, and you have to pay more to buy back a man. I don't know if you don't buy them back, then what, are they sacrificed to Yahweh? I don't know what's happening here. Now we're talking about animals being offered to Yahweh, and I don't even care that much. When a man dedicates his house to be holy to Yahweh, then the priest shall evaluate it, whether it is good or bad. As the priest evaluates it, so it shall stand. If he who dedicates it will redeem his house, then he shall add a fifth part of the money of your valuation to it, and it shall be his. These guys are like doing some sort of dedication, some sort of giving to Yahweh for some reason. I don't know if it's just because they want to be extra holy or something like that. And then the priest evaluates it and okay, this is a good one, not this is a bad house. And then this is how much I think it's worth. And the guy who is dedicating the house is like, okay, then I will pay that plus 20%. And so he can still live in the house, but he has to pay all that. So he has a holy house. I feel like this is like, I don't know if it's Scientology that has just those levels and you have to pay more to get into the higher levels or something like that. Maybe that's what this cult is doing, where they are like, you got your regular thing. You're poor, bring an ephah of fine flour. Sins are forgiven. Okay? Don't worry about it. Have you done a trespass? Have you done the other thing? Bring a ram, bring a goat, bring a this. We've got bring a turtle dove, rip its head off. We've got all those rules. We've got all of that. But now you want your house to be holy? We can make your house holy, by the way. If anyone wants a holy house, come to the Levitical priesthood. We will evaluate your house, see if it's good or bad, and give you a price for your holiness. Add 20% and give that to Yahweh, and you'll have a holy house. I feel like that's what's going on here. It's just like this scam. It's just like a scam that's forever getting worse. If a man dedicates to Yahweh part of the field of his possession, then your valuation must be according to the seed for it. The sowing of a homer of barley shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. Same as a human being. Same as a male. If he dedicates his field from the year of Jubilee, according to your valuation, it shall stand. But if he dedicates his field after the Jubilee, then the priest shall reckon to him the money according to the years that remain to the year of Jubilee, and an abatement shall be made from your valuation. If he who dedicated the field will indeed redeem it, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of your valuation to it, and it shall remain his. If he will not redeem the field, or if he has sold the field to another man, it shall not be redeemed any more. But the field, when it goes out in the Jubilee, shall be holy to Yahweh as a devoted field. It shall be owned by the priests. I don't know what this move is. There's some sort of trick going on here where they're convincing these people to give them a bunch of stuff, and the priests are just winning and winning and winning here. I honestly am kind of confused by this passage because I don't know why they're doing this. This is, again, the Levitical priesthood. They are so clever. They're being fed. They're getting land now, right? And they never have to give that land away. In the year of Jubilee, they keep getting land, and then they continue to own the land, and never does it go anywhere. This is a dictatorship where they're just putting God at the top. So whenever you sit there and you're like, God's awful, he's a dictator, he's Stalin or something like that. Well, you're really saying that the Levitical priests are, right? They're the ones that came up with this clever trick, apparently. Unless there's somebody else at the top who's just putting the Levitical priests as the scapegoat in all of this. They're like, you're the bad guys, but it's really, him. If he dedicates a field to Yahweh, which he has bought, which is not of the field of his possession, then the priest shall reckon to him the worth of your valuation up to the year of Jubilee, and he shall give your valuation on that day as a holy thing to Yahweh. In the year of Jubilee, the field shall return to him from whom it was bought, even to him to whom the possession of the land belongs. All your valuations shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary, 20 gerahs to the shekel. Again, I'm kind of lost here, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not really sure what the heck is going on. But now somebody can be like, I'm going to dedicate that field. What field? That one. Who owns it? I don't know. I'd like to dedicate it to Yahweh, and I'll pay for that because I want that field to be holy. Like, what are they doing? I don't get that. However, the firstborn among animals, which belongs to Yahweh as a firstborn, no man may dedicate. Okay. Because those are already going to be killed for Yahweh. Whether an ox or sheep, it is Yahweh's. Okay, so you can't dedicate the thing that is already dedicated. I think maybe I got to read something about this because I do not know what this chapter means. If it is an unclean animal, then he shall buy it back according to your valuation and shall add to it the fifth part of it. Or if it isn't redeemed, then it shall be sold according to your valuation. So I feel like this chapter is kind of tax. I think this is tax. I think this is like property tax, house tax, a tax on your livestock that you have. Like this is just different taxes on people somehow. But why are you paying taxes on land another person has? I wish there was a Bible scholar around. Notwithstanding, no devoted thing that a man devotes to Yahweh of all that he has, whether of man or animal, or of the field of his possession, shall be sold or redeemed. Everything that is permanently devoted is most holy to Yahweh. So this is like the things that someone's devoted becomes Yahweh's. And I feel like this is like when they're devoted to Yahweh, I understand that they're like killed. Oh, hold on. No one devoted to destruction who shall be devoted from among men shall be ransomed. He shall surely be put to death. So there's some things that can be devoted to Yahweh, which you can buy back, and then that stuff's fine. But if you don't buy it back, it's most holy, like AKA destroyed. The way it gets to Yahweh is to destroy it. There will be people, human beings that are devoted for destruction who shall be devoted among men. They will be put to death. This sounds like human sacrifice. Like, I don't know. Like, again, I'm very confused by this. I didn't think this chapter was going to go there. I thought it was like started off with some regular run-of-the-mill misogyny for the book. And now we're, I think, in a human sacrifice sort of thing. And that makes me wonder if like the early stuff where they're doing like, these are the prices of the people that you can buy back so that they don't have to be devoted or they don't have to be killed for Yahweh. Is that what this chapter is saying? And I was just about to make a comment that like, long story short, why do we need these impractical laws or something like that? But now it's seeming very eerie and barbaric and horrific. And it's weird that I called this, I didn't know that this was here. It was weird that I already called this out. When we were reading the first 10 chapters of this book, I was like, not the Bible, but Leviticus, I was like, they're trying to wear us down. They're trying to desensitize us to just tons of killing, blood being shed all over the place. And now we come to a place where that is what they've done. They've been like, yep, everything's cool. We're killing all sorts of things. By the way, killing a few people and everything. We just dedicate them to... What did you just say? Sorry, we're going to just devote some certain things to destruction. Some people, they will not be ransomed. They're going to be killed. But anyway, that's fine. What? Yahweh's demanding human sacrifice. Excuse me? Some of them you can buy back, though. I don't know if that's much of an improvement, frankly. All the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is Yahweh's. So it is kind of a tax or a tithe, same difference. It is holy to Yahweh. If a man redeems anything of his tithe, he shall add a fifth part to it. All the tithe of the herds or the flocks, whatever passes under the rod, the 10th shall be holy to Yahweh. So this is where we get the 10% tithe idea, which is funny because, guys, this is in Leviticus. If you're a Christian and you're doing 10% of tithe, I mean, maybe Jesus reiterates it because, these are cults so they're always going to want their money. Like that's going to be really important. So they're going to keep that. They're going to keep that in. But if this is the only place or like there's little hints of it and Jesus never mentions it and Paul mentions it or something, don't fall for it, guys. If you're rejecting all the Levitical laws and all the horrible Old Testament laws and, they only had to do that for a time, whatever, then tithes should be part of it. This isn't one of the 10 commandments. Why are you still tithing? The church really has done a number on you, hasn't it? They're so clever. They're so clever to take all this nonsense and convince you that the stuff that benefits them is still necessary and everything else we can just forget about it. We're not killing goats anymore. He shall not examine whether it is good or bad, neither shall he exchange it. If he exchanges it at all, then both it and that for which it is exchanged shall be holy. It shall not be redeemed. We're getting a little bit more insight into the word holy. As people who have watched this channel for a while will probably know, I'm really not sure what holy means. I don't know what that word means. I genuinely don't know. In this case, it sounds like it is that set apart thing, but it's like only Yahweh's and like exclusive to Yahweh and sometimes killed for Yahweh. It's holy. And for me, it's like, I don't want to be holy in this way. Like, I don't want to be killed for a God. I don't want to be set apart in life, like till death do me part this earth, for Yahweh. I don't think holy is a very positive thing for anyone involved. I guess Yahweh likes it. We're starting to understand that word a little bit more, and it's seeming a little less positive every time. These are the commandments which Yahweh commanded Moses for the children of Israel on Mount Sinai. Guys, thanks for joining me for another chapter of Joel Reads Bible. If you are watching this and you have some information and like you're a Christian or something and you're like, no, it's not a human sacrifice, or if you are a Bible scholar and you're like, it is a human sacrifice, hey, throw it in the comments. It'd be interesting to just have that information in there. I might read a little bit about this, and in the recap, I always do a recap every 10, or this is going to be for every 13, the last 13 episodes. So maybe I'll see if this is talking about human sacrifice. But either way, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. If you haven't, please subscribe, like the video, and yeah, drop me a comment letting me know how you feel about biblical misogyny. And in the meantime, we'll see you next time for chapter 28. Until then, bye.